Welcome to The Gap, where it's our mission to bridge the gap between training and on-field performance.
I'm Brett Hart, owner of Hitman Performance.
And I'm Dan Labadia, the owner of Jack Javelin.
Hope you guys enjoy the show. Testing.
Testing.
Dude, first try, we be getting it now. We're locked in.
We are locked in. Absolutely dialed.
Pepsi Zero, though, not a Coke Zero. A little different.
I was at Dick's before this, and they only had Pepsi, so that's what I bought. But what was funny, I told you this off the camera, but I thought it was funny. So I was going to buy wickets for a YouTube video I'm shooting this weekend, and I needed them for Sunday. And I got to the register, or I got to the place to buy them, and they were like next to this price tag on the bottom, and it said that they were like $150. So then I'm like, I bought them. I went up to the front and I was like, man, these are kind of expensive. I started looking at like Walmart, Target, started looking at other places that might have had them. And then I was like trying to find a discount on them or whatever, like, you know, see if Amazon could send them over. Cause I know that wickets usually aren't $150.
Yeah, they're just pieces of plastic.
Yeah. And I got to the front and then they ring up as $49. And I was like so fired up because I was like, yo, I got them for free basically.
Yo.
I was about to spend
If you paid in cash, too, it was free.
Yeah, 3 times the price.
I don't think people realize if you pay in cash, your bank account doesn't change. So it was basically free.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I'd be looking at it with my new credit card I got.
Yeah.
Just be swiping it. I was like, man, my bank account is staying the exact same. I just be using it for everything, just swiping it. They don't have to put my PIN in no more for a debit card. It's like, oh, this is so much more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't got to pay that off, right?
You know Dave Ramsey? Do you know who he is?
Yes, I know Dave Ramsey.
You ever listen to any of his stuff?
I listened to
Or read a book?
Read a book. I don't read books. No, I read books, but you don't. But Dave Ramsey usually had the call-in guys being like, hey, Dave, I got like X amount of money. Like, what do I do with it? I know that. That was one of his clips that I know that from. But I don't know, like, majority of what he talks about.
Well, he's anti-credit card. And he has his whole business and personal, just pay everything cash.
Cash only?
Yeah.
For like businesses or just personal?
Everything. So he's basically saying that if they want to build a building and the building is going to cost $5 million, they have the $5 million on hand. Where a lot of people will like take out a line of credit and finance it as they go, or take out a loan and kind of be like, all right, we're projected to hit this, so we could probably afford this expensive of a building. We put a down payment on it, whatever. He doesn't go into anything until they have the capital to do it, which is it's
probably a safer way to do it. But
I mean, absolutely. And then what happens too is when the building is done, then your profit margins just go up crazy, because when you're used to paying the expenses for new infrastructure and buildings and whatnot, then when you don't have that money going out, now you just got more money in the bank.
It's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be pretty anti-Dave when I didn't really know his stuff, because I just thought that he was very out of tune with reality because he was a little bit older. But a lot of the things the reason why he's had so much success is because a lot of the stuff that he says just works. Where it's like, don't spend more than you make. Easy.
Got it. Wait. How do you do that?
Yeah. So it's just, don't spend more than you make. Have an emergency fund saved up so that if times go bad, you're not always living paycheck to paycheck. Pay off all your debt as fast as you can. Whereas, if you have 50 grand in debt, don't be going on vacation all the time. Whether it's student.
Don't buy the new shoes. Don't buy the new video game. Like,
yeah, you
should probably live under your means for a little bit if you're really struggling.
Yep. And it's just, it's really helpful when you're looking at, just in general too. A lot of people that listen to this are probably college age and younger. And so, if you're looking for financial advice, I think Dave is a good person to start, because he's also very extreme too. Where like, I have a credit card, and so do you now. But
bang, it took 5 years to finally get one.
But what's funny about that is like, people giving you crap for not having a credit card at 25. But at the end of the day, like, there's people that follow Dave Ramsey's stuff that are grown adults that don't have credit cards because they want to live that extreme lifestyle to just be like, they don't even want the temptation to spend more than what they have right
Dude,
now.
to be honest, when I first got it and saw how easy it was, and I didn't have to pay it right away, I always thought, like, how is it so, like, how do people just rack up like insane amounts of debt? It's very easy.
Yeah.
Like, if I check it every day, I just look at it because I'm like, it's new still to me, so I look at it and I notice, like, I go to the gas station every day for a Gatorade Zero and a Reign. $7.
Nothing else?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's it?
That's it every day, every morning.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I don't be getting them. I haven't gotten them in like 2 months. I get the sets, but literally it's $7. I have all the transactions on the credit card. It's like, if you don't look at it for a couple of days and you just look at what you've been buying, like, I should it like totals up how much you spent.
Yeah.
And if you're not mindful of like what you're spending, you're just swiping and swiping and you just keep going, it's very easy to get into a full like deficit of money of you're just like, oh shit, I owe this much, like going in, like whenever the due date is. Like for me it's next week for when I have to pay it off, but still it was mind-blowing to watch. And I think you talked about this before, like relating, I mean, this is a fitness podcast, so let's relate it back to something fitness related.
Reel it in.
We are by no means financial advisors. Disclaimer, do not use financial advice. But it's like calorie counting. Like we were just talking about tracking calories. Like if you don't have to track every day, but if you're not mindful of what you're eating and putting in your body and you start tracking, like there's a very similar parallel to finances and money as well.
Yeah.
Like people realize like, oh, I'm 10 grand in debt all of a sudden. Very similar thought process and habits go into being, oh, I'm 20 pounds heavier all of a sudden. Like if you're not on top of it and you're not daily like checking like where you're at daily, not even, yeah, daily. But if you're not just checking like, shit, I've been like the $7 every single day at the gas station. Like I've been having 2 cookies every day at lunch just because they're there, or I'm having that piece of candy in the morning and that night, or just because it's out.
Yeah.
Or I'm having this shake or this cheat meal. Like you just forget about it usually, and then if you weigh yourself again, if there's months in between and you're 20, 30 pounds heavier, like where did it come from? Like it came from all those little things that you weren't keeping track of that just goes through the crack.
Yeah, and I will say too that that's what I think about, fitness and tracking and stuff is helpful, because when you have that psychological component to it, where when you work really, really hard to get a certain desired physique and athletic capabilities, you start to establish how you feel and how you look with the hard work and the discipline associated with it. And I think that the last couple of weeks have been a good testament for me, because I've never worked harder in my life than I have the last month or two. I've been doing 4 deep work projects at the same time, which for me, usually I only do 1 at a time, on top of having the most in-person volume that I've ever had in terms of javelin coaching, where I'm
Busy
at
season, baby.
like 30 lessons a week, probably minimum. And so with that, I'm associating basically, I'm kind of in that maintenance mode fitness wise, especially with my elbow and the surgery coming up. My health is not the main priority, but I've still been going to the gym 45 minutes some days just to check the box off and just to get that daily deposit in of, I know I feel better and I know I'm going to be able to maintain a lot better if I just do a little bit of something rather than just take the whole day off. And sometimes I have been taking the whole day off, but the principle of the discipline aspect of me still going to the gym, working out, even when I know that I'm not necessarily pushing at my max, it's still that habit and that psychological component that I have because I did so much work to get here. And what Dave talks about a lot in the finance side is that, psychologically, when you have cash and you pay everything in cash, I'm giving you cash, and then if you're the cashier, you're giving me the product that I just paid for. So there's a psychological exchange where in the debit card or the credit card, you give them the credit card, they give you your Gatorade, and they give you back your credit card. So I'm not losing anything in that instance. I'm basically getting, and I'm not giving anything away. So psychologically, it just doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah.
Versus being like, all right, here's $100 for, a new
Well,
shirt.
Because you have to take it, like the act of taking the money out of your wallet and like seeing the $50, $10, $20, $100 bill, like being handed over to somebody else. Like that definitely has more of an impact on like your just consciousness of what you're paying for than just this plastic thing and being like, here you go.
Yeah.
Like swipe it and then come right back. And my wallet still has as much as it did before I bought the thing. So
Absolutely.
That's definitely where it comes into play of just being like, that's why I joke. It's like, oh, it was free.
Yeah.
Like my wallet didn't change. I look at my bank account, didn't change. And then you just don't have that. It doesn't hurt as much until you get to the point where you have to pay it off. And you're like, I can't pay it off.
Well, that's why I actually think too that those big hits are definitely more important than the small transactions. I think that a lot of people just don't have a budget set, and then they don't ever take the time to invest and save. Where, if you have a budget set and you get the paycheck and you're saying, all right, $1,000 of this is going to go to investments or savings, that money is gone, and then you pretend like you don't have it. And that's where the big chunk of that's another big Dave thing, is telling your money where to go, right? So that my gym membership is this is what I spend on food, this is what I spend on entertainment. And then when you get paid, you take that $500 or that $1,000 and you invest it right away, or you save it right away. If you wait until after you pay all your bills, because you're racking up the bill, you might get the bill to the point where you don't have that $1,000 or that $500 left to invest. But if you invest it first and you save it first, then now my $2,000 paycheck went to $1,000. Now I have to spend less than $1,000. Versus if you get paid $2,000 and you spend and spend and spend and spend, then at the end of the month you might be like, I spent $1,800. Now I only have $200 left, and then I'm just gonna leave it in there. And then that's when you get into the habit of month after month not saving or not investing, because then you're just at this point where you're like, I don't have the money to do it. But you got to do it first and tell your money where to go. So like right when you get paid, you save it, you invest it, and then it's out of sight, out of mind. Just like we were saying, like when it leaves your bank account, you don't have it anymore. So you do the same principle, but for the investment account or the savings account.
You're just prioritizing the savings and like the long-term like compounding interest of it. And it's funny because it just reminded me of your protein hack that you do before we go out to eat.
I did it yesterday.
Yeah, you're like you prioritize your protein intake. So you'll eat pound of chicken breast, say, like as an example. Before, if we were going out to get pizza, you would eat the pound of chicken breast first. So you prioritize your protein intake, and you're going to be a little bit more full. So when we go out, you just won't eat as much pizza.
Yeah.
So if you, like, to bring it back to your financial rant, your Dave Ramsey talk, but if you prioritize saving, you just won't have as much money to spend on stupid stuff.
Yeah. And that's, I think, just like the discipline aspect too. Like I was saying, the last 2 months with my elbow and how crazy I've been with work, and I haven't been making my health my own priority. It's actually put a lot of those limitations on my time and how I'm going to spend the meals that I do have. And so what happens is what I do is now, since I'm limited time, a lot of times I'm doing a lot of supersets, or I'm doing cardio because I'm working out for about half as long. So I'm trying to make it a little bit more precise while I'm there. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely sweating a lot more, especially with me doing 30 javelin lessons outside in the heat every week. I'm also sweating and burning there. And it's actually pretty easy for me to not eat an excess amount of calories when I'm at the field all day. So I'll bring a protein bar with me, and then a Gatorade Zero and some water and some other stuff to help me get through the long period of time without eating. And
I wonder if anyone will guess what you're talking about.
But
Just need to feel.
But-
I need to feel good for 15
yeah,
minutes.
but I've like, I've leaned out a lot this summer.
Dude, that was like when we were working at Upward when no AC and we're working 50 hours a week or 60 hours a week. It's 95 degrees in there.
Yeah.
Like, I was pretty freaking lean just from sitting there, just standing there sweating
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Like I would be drenched in sweat from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. all day. I would have to
Yeah.
take like 3 showers.
And I understand too that, doing the one lesson where you're constantly moving for the whole hour is hard, but I would say that standing in it, coaching in it for 8 hours is even harder.
I used to work out in that just because
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, that's when I stopped working out there.
yeah, because you went to the edge to get the AC. But
Yeah, and then
I
then I never left, and then I just started then I switched a couple of months ago to Legion, but
Legion's nice. I was there today.
yeah. Did you sign up?
No, I guess a day pass. I should sign up though, because that day pass was crazy. I thought they said 15 the last time I asked, but I guess either she misspoke or I misheard or something. Because I could have sworn the lady at the front desk said day pass was, because I asked her if what a day pass was. I thought she said 15, but then I was like, yeah, let me get a day pass, and he goes, all right, it'll be $26 because I had the tax on it. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
this better be a good workout. But to
Yeah.
me, like, if I can work out for an hour 15. An hour and a half. Like I think I worked out for an hour 15 today. I did my jumps, I squatted, benched, and I did hamstring curls. I was like, I loved that day. That was a great day. Well worth the $25 in my opinion. Like I would pay that every time.
Yeah,
if I
it's
go,
an
and
investment.
no one was in the gym.
Yeah.
I got the whole gym to myself. I had my headphones. It was a great time. Like I don't know. I know some people might see $25 and be like, I just won't work out. But to me, like what I got out of it, I would say it was well worth it.
Yeah, I always look at, I don't really spend my money on much besides, I would say supplements and clothes are definitely the things that I spend my money on the most. But both of those are, back to my job. I like spending my money on clothes because when I get new, higher end fitness gear, like that's what I work out in. That's what I work all day in. That's what I wear when we,
At Lululemon.
yeah, and Viore.
Fiore. What's that? That's a new one.
Yeah, right here.
Nice shirt.
Thanks. Yeah, Viore is they're West Coast based, so they started making their way over. They have a store in Westport now, but Viore is a good one too. And so since I'm a coach, and that's what I wear to work, it's also a business expense. But then I also get 40% off Viore and 25% off Lulu because I'm a coach. So I
You
have
have 40% off
Yeah.
for Fiore.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to start getting some shirts.
Yeah, you'll look into it.
I don't be getting no discount for Young LA compression shirts. So
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's just really nice dry fit material, and when I'm wearing it all day, I like, and especially if I'm going from the gym back home to work at the desk for a couple hours and then over to the field to coach for a couple hours, I want to wear something that I feel good in. And
look good too.
yeah, and it's one of those things too where when you're working 80 plus hours a week or whatever, you want to allow yourself to have some type of indulgence. And I'm not somebody that, like, I don't drink. I don't go on vacation really. If I do go away on a trip, it's usually for a track meet or a
Hell
camp
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And so that's where for me, it's like you need to be able to enjoy the money that you make in some capacity as well. And that's what I told myself too when I was doing I finished the 500 videos yesterday, which is a huge,
Congratulations.
thank you, a huge weight off my shoulders. And I didn't anticipate doing it this time of year, but like I said, when I knew I had to get the surgery, I was just like, well, if I get the surgery in October, then I'm not going to be fully recovered to start filming till December. And I didn't want to do it August or September because that's when the camp is coming up in August, and that's what I need to shift my focus to. So I was like, all right, baby, June and July it is. So I did it then, and I finished it. It took me 6 weeks. I probably on average spent like 5 hours a day on it, and it was just, it was a lot of work, and I'm really, really happy with the way that it came out. But anyway, every time I went to the gym to record, I would get a shake at the desk, and they're like $9. But I was just like, I expressed a little bit of this frustration that I was having, I think like 2 episodes ago, where I was saying training wasn't fun for me anymore because I was hurt and I was in pain and I was super busy with work. And every time I went to the gym, it was to record. So I would do 2 sets of my my video, whatever I needed to like warm up to like a heavier set to get on video, and then I would move on to the next thing. And some days I was there 4 hours recording. I would get a shake, go sit in my car, post on Instagram for 30 minutes, take a break, go in, grab an energy drink, get back at it for another 2 hours. And it's stuff like that where I look at it, when I'm investing back into myself to be able to work harder, it's worth it. Because I know for me, if I was to just, excuse my language here, but like if I was just to like raw dog the last 6 weeks and go like no stimulants, like no supplements, and just pound through it every day, I'm like, it would just not be as enjoyable. But I know,
yeah, it would be.
But if I allow myself, like, all right, I'm going to get an energy drink, I'm going to feel good, I'm going to make it as enjoyable as possible, I'm going to have a shake afterwards to treat myself, then it's like, all right, well, now I'm doing a work related project, but I'm also, taking the time to enjoy it a little bit more than if I were to not do anything with it.
Well, that just reminds me of when I first started getting into training, of being like getting into the pre-workouts, and like you're with your boys, you're dry scooping it, like that whole I don't think a lot of people understand like what happens before the actual training session. Like when you see some of these guys work out, like the pre-session of getting fired up in your car, listening to music, pre-workout, just getting amped, and you go in there and you crush weights. Like that's when I first started training. It was like you wanted to feel like you were on fire. Like you wanted to go in there and just dominate. And you can do that for a decent amount of time. I probably did that for like a year or two when I was 16, 17, 18, like around then. And then it kind of like starts to fade a little bit. And then you have to have that mental discipline of like, I don't feel like that, but I still have to work out. And so that's where it gets hard for a lot of people, of like they want to feel that feeling every time, when in reality that's not what strength conditioning is. That's not what training is. Like that's why there's a post years ago when I was at school that I made a little stupidly, but I was in a really hard training block that Zach wrote for me. And when I was training, this is what it just, when I was posting around this time, it was just a documentation of like everything I was feeling. And this training block was it killed you every time. There's no excitement towards it. Like you go in there and you know it's going to suck, and you know every time it's going to suck. And I made a post being like, dude, training should not be fun. Like if you have a goal in mind, which I did, it was to compete in powerlifting. And it's like, if you have a goal in mind and you really want to achieve that goal, and if you're prioritizing fun in your training, you're probably missing out on a lot of stuff. Like you're probably missing out on a lot of gains that you can make by doing like you're just going to avoid the things that you know you should be doing because they're just not fun. Like I was doing 60 seconds of just straight leg extension for 3 sets, minute on, minute off. You cannot stop moving that entire minute. Immediately into leg press with the same the same rep setup of a minute straight of leg press, minute rest. You do that 3 sets. Like that shit was not fun. That sucked. I wasn't counting reps. That was probably the best part of it, because it was just to go. It was to create as much of that burn and that muscle endurance feel you can get in an hour. Because like every exercise was that. It was 60 on, 60 off, 3 sets, and you had to do every exercise like that. It sucked. It wasn't fun at all, but I did it, and then it got me to being able to squat 315 for 17 reps. Like, that was pretty freaking cool, and it led me to get to a 507-pound back squat when I competed. So, yeah, if I was going for fun, I would have just been 1RM and random shit with the boys, slugging pre-workout, doing random stuff, taking 4 hours in the gym, just texting in between sets, taking videos and selfies and stuff. Like, that stuff's fun. I consider that working out. If you're an athlete that wants to achieve something that you've never achieved before, you cannot just be working out. You need to be training. And training is very different. It is meticulous, it is monotonous, and it is an everyday grueling feeling that you will feel at some point in a training block. And you can either skip and bag it, then obviously that dream wasn't that important to you, or you can just suck it up and then do it. So that's where I see, like, yeah, you need to have a balance for athletes to stay in it long enough, like especially younger ones, to get that fun feel. But if you rely on solely making it fun, you're just not going to get as good as you can get.
I think that's a big adjustment that I needed to make after college, since I went from training 4 hours a day with my training partners and doing all that stuff, always going to the max, and then you get out and then you're kind of not following a program and you're almost making it too fun and you're trying to just do what you're comfortable with and stuff like that. And I needed to definitely get back to that point of being uncomfortable. And I'd say this year I did a lot better of it, a lot better of a job of it. And I mean, that just shows because I'm the leanest I've been since I left college, but then I'm also probably, I mean, maybe not right now, but as of like 2 months ago, I was the strongest I was since I left college as well. And so that's what was really cool about that. It was like I was able to kind of see that full circle of, realizing that it's not just, to make it longevity, you need to have, I think, spurts of both. And I think that having the that mix of a couple of, we talked about like the high days and the low days. Mm-hmm. I think that that's a more sustainable approach for a lot of people is, have some days where you're doing the bodybuilding and you are, maybe having fun and keeping it enjoyable and doing some of the stuff that you like. But then in order to actually push the needle forward and to get better, you need to always provide yourself with a new stimulus and make training hard, because especially when you have a very, I want to say, the training age is very high. If you've been training for more than 10 years, which we have, then when you're just going through the motions and you're having fun all the time, then you're never going to progress. And that's what we talked about too. It's like, will you ever squat 500 again? Maybe.
Maybe. I have no idea.
Will I ever squat 500? I got to the point where I was hitting 465 pretty much, pretty routinely, but I never got above that. And, then a couple months ago, I was able to hit like 405 for 3, which is the highest I've been since before college, since during college and stuff. And so that's where, you can maintain really well when you're having fun, but when you maintain for too long, you start to go backwards. And I definitely fell into that trap the first 2 years out of college. And, I kind of screwed myself, to be honest, because like looking back at it, when I was 23, I was strong and really lean the first summer at Upward. Mm-hmm. And
you deadlifted 565, right?
Yeah. And when I was at like 12% body fat, and for me being 12% body fat, I look pretty lean because I'm a little bit taller, mm-hmm. and I have more muscle mass. So I typically, or not more muscle mass. I don't know. I'm not saying more than you. I'm just saying more. I'm just saying
it's spread out more.
Yeah.
You got a longer torso, longer frame.
Yeah. So
like us at 12% will look completely different.
Yeah. So I could have abs at like 14, and then
I can have abs no matter what.
I could have abs at like 14%, and then if I get at 12 or below, I look shredded. And so anyway, I intentionally gained weight because that was at the point where I was, in the summer going into the fall, I was intentionally gaining weight. And then what happened was then I got into that habit of, not even a habit, but then I started prioritizing my career and work and not training as hard. And so then it was like I was just 235 for no reason.
I was just thick for no reason.
Yeah, I wasn't even putting it to good use.
Dude,
but then it took me like, up until the last 6 months to really be like, all right, no. And that's where too, when I did the keto diet over the winter, it's not even that I lost a lot of weight, but it got me back into that habit of being like, hey, you know what? I don't need carbs and I don't need to eat every like 3 hours. Like I could fast for 12 hours or whatever, or I could have breakfast and go 6 hours without eating. And when I do that, I just eat less. And that's where I'm at now, is since I haven't been prioritizing my training right now, I've been, working out quick supersets, maybe a 45-minute workout, a lot more slow, steady state cardio than I've ever done. And, do a lot more Stairmaster than I've ever done, stuff like that. And, I'm doing really well in terms of like how I look because of, I've just been practicing that habit of eating less and just keeping a high protein diet. And when you now, I mean, Coach Wallen always said this too. It's like you never realize that you're eating bad until you try to start eating healthy, and it's hard. And that's where I was, because I was so ingrained from college of tracking calories and training so hard and eating really clean, because not only did I track calories in college, but I also, for the most part, ate dairy free, and then I ate gluten free, and I really like, it was like eggs and oatmeal, and then like chicken and rice, and then like meat and potatoes, protein shake, and cream of rice. Like I would have that type of food. And if I had a really hard leg day once a week or whatever, my compound day that we used to do, I would have, like Cocoa Pebbles and as my post-workout meal. But that was pretty much it. Maybe I would have like one cheat meal on the weekend. That's when I started doing that. That's when I started doing that habit of eating, chicken breast before going out and having like New Haven pizza or something like that. Even times when we would go out and have New Haven pizza with my friends, I would get gluten-free crust and dairy-free cheese, just because I just had it in my mind that, there was like always about the quality of the food and everything too. And I got away from that. And now I'm much more, I want to say, I'm a little bit more like that. For those that know Hormozi, like his diet of doing things is, doesn't care about the chemicals.
No, it doesn't. just needs 200 grams of protein in a day, and doesn't matter what else it is.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't really care about the quality as much, just as like macro over micro. And so in college, I was micro and macro. I was looking at, is it gluten-free? Is it dairy-free? Is it whole food? Like I wouldn't have protein bars and protein shakes because those are a little bit more expensive anyway. I mean, you get a tub of protein, it's cheap, but getting like the pre-made ones and protein bars could start to add up in college. So
a lot of them are filled with just shit too.
Yeah. So I definitely, like when I went to that gaining weight phase, when I was 23 into 24, and then kind of was maintaining that, I was like, I was in that fun mode of training, but then I wasn't in that. I also wasn't in that locked in diet either. I just was able to maintain 15% body fat at 230, 235, which I looked decent because I had front loaded a ton of the work. But then it's that reminder of, in order to get back to 12% body fat or to get to a new level of strength, you have to really push yourself, not only in the diet to get the body fat down, but also in the training to be able to push yourself past, because it's like, you got to look at where your baseline is. And for some people to improve, if their baseline is so low, adding, if they're eating 100 grams of protein, if you add 50 grams a day, they're going to build muscle. But for me, like I'm used to eating 230 grams of protein a day.
Yeah, me too.
So if I go from 230 to 280, like that's not doing anything for me. It needs to be made up in other areas. And that's where we always talk about how your body becomes more efficient when you do things really well for a long period of time. So that's where you need to switch the stimulus and do something new. So then it becomes, all right, it's got to be either push the training, switch up the training, switch up the tempo, increase the volume,
increase the weight.
You start doing just a different type of training, right? At whatever. And then same thing with the diet. It's like when you're used to eating 200 grams of protein all the time, adding more protein to your diet at that point, you're not gaining anything from it. So at that point, you have to sack up and be an adult and be like, all right, I got to get back to discipline and cut the calories down. I got to stop eating every 2 hours because I'm not training 4 hours a day anymore. You got to build the discipline of being, all right, I'm going to take a 4 or 5 hour window and not eat, or I'm going to save my carbohydrates for dinner time or whenever you want to eat them. But you got to get back to eating the whole food stuff, because eating those Kodiak cake protein muffins, they're protein and they're whole grain, but there's still,
you know what else is in them.
Yeah, but it's not, it's just like, all right, how much, it's like, all right, if you get 5 grams of protein compared to a regular muffin, that's 1. All right,
it's high protein though. It's like the Reese's.
Yeah, but then you go, and then it circles back to, all right, well, protein wasn't your problem anyway. It's too many calories. So Now you're just eating something to fill you up. That's still just essentially empty calories. If you're at a higher body fat percentage and you need to get down, you don't need the extra fuel. So you should probably save it for something that's going to be a little bit more sustaining for you.
Yeah, it's definitely tough depending on when your start point is too. And if you've never played a sport or had that discipline instilled with you within a young age, like you're trying to diet down and or bulk up and do something completely outside your norm, like, yeah, it's going to be extremely uncomfortable. Like, kids will be like, how much protein do I need? And I go, probably closer to 200 grams, like, depending on their body weight. And they're like, dude, I barely eat 100. Like, I'm maybe sitting at like 75 grams of protein a day. So, was that you?
Yeah, it's a Diet Coke.
Oh, it's
Diet
like
Pepsi.
Pepsi. Yeah, but so yeah, you're gonna struggle at first, and that's where I was talking to you. Like, it's not gonna be fun if you know your weight is a detriment to your success, like what you want to do. So it's either too heavy or too light, and you know you need to make a change. It's the same thing with training. Like I was saying before, it's not gonna be fun. Like, there's gonna be meals. Like, if you're bulking up, there's gonna be meals you really don't want to eat.
Yeah, you're going to be stuffed.
Yeah. And but you need to eat. And then there's going to be times, if on the flip side of it, if you want to lose weight, and you're going to have to make the sacrifice of not going out and eating the large cheese pizza at Modern in New Haven, or ordering the Domino's or the Uber Eats. Like, you're going to need to make that sacrifice and not eat it and find something else that is much lower calorie, might not be as tasty. But if every meal you eat is tasty and delicious, like, it's probably not the best for you.
Yeah, and that's where actually too, I mean, that's a big mind pump thing that they used to talk about a lot, or they still probably do, but I don't listen to them as much anymore. But a big mind pump thing was that's where I got the, you got to grow up and eat like an adult, because not every meal, when you look at how humans have evolved over time, you ate for survival.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably ate once a day, because you probably, you killed a deer, you ate it, and you're like, all right, well, that's it.
I'm good for today. Yeah.
You're not going to eat again until you find something, until you kill something else. And, a lot of times you're not going to have time to go sit in a tree and go, or I don't know if they sat in tree stands back then. they got a 6 set up in the tree.
They're hiding in the bushes. Yeah, that's like in, what was it? I think it might have been in Sapiens, but humans are designed. It's like when we taste something delicious and it has that like high sugar, high fat, like high calorie intake. Like, that's an evolutionary thing of like, you want to indulge in it as much as possible because you didn't know where you'd get it next. Like, if you were having a big time meal, you'd eat as much as possible because you didn't know if you're going to eat it next day or next week. Like, you had no idea. So that's what your brain was telling you, is like, that was delicious. It's high calorie, like it's high sugar, high fat. Like, I need a lot of it. And now, what do all the processed foods have now in the grocery aisles that have a logo on it?
Butter.
They got high sugar, they got high fat, because the industry and the companies that make this food aren't idiots. They're smart. They know like what we are actually genetically modified to do, and that's to consume copious amounts of high sugar, high fat foods, because our brain is telling us you don't know when you're going to get this again. But the world we live in now is you can get it for 99 cents literally anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's where that mental shift needs to come in, of being like, I don't need this entire bag of chips. Like no one eats just a serving size of chips, like in a big family size bag, or a serving size of an Oreo's one. Who eats one Oreo? Are you kidding me? Like, no one eats one. You at least have in a sleeve, like if you're getting the Oreos. At least that's me.
But yeah, with the crumble cookie, so the ingredients are like crazy, but then also look at the density of it. Isn't the serving size like 1/4 of a cookie?
Yeah, who eats a quarter of a cookie? That's what I'm saying. It's like a quarter of it's like, 200. It says like 220 calories. Like, the whole cookie itself is 880.
Yeah.
For one this big, like just a regular size cookie, is almost 880 calories. If you're cutting, you're probably going to be eating around 1,600 calories, 1,800 calories. That's either half or a third of your total daily intake of calories coming from one singular cookie. That's crazy.
And that's where, not that in terms of macros, right? It doesn't matter it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you're under your calorie intake for the day, right? Or your recommended amount. So if it's 1600, if you eat 1600 or less, you're fine. But in terms of when you're looking at the quality of the food, how you feel obviously is a big play in it. But in terms of losing weight, the reason why you want to go for the higher quality foods is because those are going to fill you up for a lot longer, and they're going to keep you satiated. And you look at the volume of it, where it's one crumble cookie, 800 calories, this versus a huge plate of chicken and rice and broccoli, which is the staple, just clean person meal.
Most bodybuilder meal ever.
Yeah. And so
no seasoning on that chicken either.
Yeah. As plain as possible. So when you have that,
it's got to take you an hour to chew through.
Well, that's another thing is that, have you ever heard the term palate fatigue?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the dry chicken breast, you eat it and you're like, I'm done eating, because it's just not easy to chew.
Yeah. So when you have the palate fatigue aspect of it, because your whole plate of chicken and rice and broccoli is so high in protein and high in fiber, and rice, it depends on, maybe if you're eating like brown rice, it's a little slower digesting or whatever, but it's typically going to keep you full for a pretty long period of time. And then that's what's going to be able to allow you to then, all right, that meal might be 600, but then you're good for 5 hours versus having a meal that's 600 or 800, but then you're hungry again in another
30 minutes. Yeah.
And so having the ability to, have those whole foods is obviously great for your health, but it's also what's going to keep you full for a longer period of time. So then I also will say that if you are trying to gain weight, you kind of do the inverse of that. And you might want to have something that's a little bit more tasty and more calories so that you could eat more.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're bulking, or when you're cutting, an example would be chicken, rice, broccoli, right? Maybe you have brown rice or something that's going to be a little bit slower digesting. But then when you're bulking, you might take that and be like, all right, now I'm going to have chicken thighs. So it's more fat and then tastier. Yep. So it's easier to eat, and it's, like you said, not as dry a lot of times. So it's easier to eat. It's probably the same amount of protein, and right off the bat, it's easier to eat. So you're going to be able to eat it faster and probably, feel like you're going to be ready to eat again a little sooner. And then, maybe you cut out some of the broccoli so that you're not full on as much fiber and as much volume. And then you'll add like coconut oil or something to the rice, or you cook the rice in bone broth or something on top of it, so that you're eating the same amount of rice, but then switching it from brown to white and then adding the coconut oil. It's like, all right, it's going to digest a little bit quicker because it's a simple carbohydrate now instead of a complex carbohydrate. But then you're also adding in liquid calories that you don't even realize are there, and it'll give you an extra 250. So then that chicken and rice and broccoli meal that's 600 calories might turn into the same thing, but you just sub a couple things out and add a couple things in that you don't even realize in terms of volume. You don't feel the difference, and it could be, an extra 30% more calories. And then you do that stacked up over the day, and then that's how you'll get your increase. And then you finish the day with something that's maybe a little bit tastier, a little bit easier to eat, and be able to get your calorie intake that way if you're trying to bulk.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of right ways to do it, and there's a lot of wrong ways to do it. Just know that you can probably benefit from not eating most of your diet from processed foods and things that have mascots on them, because that's usually not the best thing to be putting in your body.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you definitely got to be cautious of, you always want to keep the quality high. I think going back to what you were saying about having training fun and versus not being fun, I've found myself a lot of times, since I haven't been maybe at the gym as long, or maybe I haven't been pushing as hard, I've been finding myself just enjoying waking up, having my element, having my pre-workout, going to the gym, being in the environment, working out, listening to music, breaking a sweat, grabbing a protein shake, and then going home and working. And that's where that is just fun to me. And that's where you start the day off, or whenever it is in your day, and just enjoying that process. It starts off as like a discipline thing, but then it's not even about the actual workout. A lot of times it's about just getting there and being in the environment and doing something to have that feeling again. Because it's like, for me, if I was to sit at home all day and skip the gym, I'd feel like I was missing something.
Yeah, you'd feel worse.
But just going there and doing it and feeling like you're accomplishing something and getting in that atmosphere and getting in that routine, it's just like you feel so good. And a lot of times too, I think that if you're training really, really hard, and say you are powerlifting or you're an athlete, and you could benefit from some of those extra calories, and maybe training isn't fun for you, well, that's actually a great time to then go and have fun with your diet and have, maybe a little bit more liberation with like what you're eating.
That's a good point, because peak powerlifting, it was once a week. It was after like one of the hardest leg days. You go to Moe's, you get a Moe's stack.
Oh, those are fire.
That was so good. I would let myself have it once a week.
Their burritos and bowls are terrible.
Yeah, but the stack for some reason is just so good. Everything else, it's the same ingredients.
What do you mean you guys don't have a quesarito? You remember that?
No.
You don't remember that? Remember when we were at Chipotle when that dude walked in?
Oh my God, yes. He
ordered a quesarito. And I think it's funny because I see now that I'm this, social media, like fitness entrepreneur, and I'm like all about the grind and the lifestyle and the health, and just always trying to be the forward thinker and progress myself and progress the athletes around me, push you to be better, all the important stuff,
all the love.
And just stuff like that it's like I see this dude walk in who looks like we were there probably like after a podcast or something on a Friday night. We just worked like 60 hours a week. We're doing this podcast hoping for the future that it grows, and we got that vision statement right. And then I just see myself judging so hard when I see this dude who walks in, looks like he's about the same age as us, looks like he just like walked out of his 9 to 5, went to the golf course, drank beers with his friends, and then goes up to the Chipotle worker and is saying, "Oh, can I have a quesarito?" And they don't know what it is, and he's trying to explain to them, you get the burrito, but you get 2 wraps and you put cheese in the middle of it, so it's a quesadilla and then a burrito inside. And they didn't know what it was, and he just like freaked out on the worker and just stormed out and was all pissed off and was like swearing about it. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, really? Like, just like,
since when has Chipotle ever had that one?
Yeah.
Like,
but it's just that's for me. I just look at that and I'm like, it just gives me the I don't know if the ick is the right word, but it just makes me despise like that 9 to 5 like person that just clocks in, clocks out, just miserable life, and just it's just, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. It blows your mind how some people can just have that, like, that was just such a random thing, like, to be mad about, and to just take it off on probably like a 16-year-old Chipotle worker that had no idea what they're
$15 an hour.
Yeah, it's like, dude, just pick what's in there, pick what's on the menu, have them put it in a bowl, and then pay for it. It's like it's a couple step process. I will say though that that one Chipotle experience we had where the worker just left in the middle of making my bowl, that's where I'm like, dude, come on. I was like, you guys are fighting for more money for minimum wage.
To hit like 5 o'clock or something.
Yeah. It hit 5 o'clock. He was halfway done with my bowl, and it was like the meat section and the bean section, whatever. And you go to the veggie section. So I'm about to tell him what I want. He checks his watch. He takes his apron off, and he walks past me through the front door. He
just leaves?
Just leaves. I'm like, dude, my bowl's right. Like, I'm about to. I'm not done with my order, and then someone from the back comes up and then like finishes the order. I go, that is crazy. You can't take 30 seconds left out of your day to
You're
just
getting
finish.
paid too. You're on the clock,
dude. You're still getting paid.
You'll get prorated for the hour.
I was like, maybe I would have gave you a tip. I was like, I don't know, but I was like, that's what my thing was. When that was always like my running joke for a long time, because again, like the minimum wage stuff like going on, like wanting people to make more money with minimum wage and
inflation.
I was like, yeah, inflation, and I understand the thought process. Like, no one can live on like whatever it was before. It was like $7.50 an hour, $12 an hour. Like, you can't live off that. But when in that moment, I'm like, that dude deserves nothing. I was like, that dude, it's like, if he's getting paid $15 an hour, that's $15 too much. Like, I would never hire that guy in my life.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I mean, that's the whole thing, is that realistically, those jobs are for people that don't have any skills, they don't have a degree, whatever.
They just need money.
So
a lot of them are just college because they need money.
Yeah.
And so when you're in college, you have minimum skills. So you just work to get minimum wage. And I understand you need more to survive and live, but you finished my bowl, dude. I was like, come on. That was one of the most mind-blowing things to me. I was like, I would never, like, no matter how tired I was, and even if my time was up, if I'm halfway through something, like, I'll just finish it. Like, if I was in that seat, if I was on the other side, I was like, you want me to go back there and do it for, like, I'll do the bowl for you. It's fine.
I mean, you gotta finish the job, do it outright.
Yeah. Quote of the week. It's time. You got a quote? I have a quote.
You go first.
All right, so I heard this from Dan Goodman at a Varsity House seminar. He probably got it from somebody else. I think it was John Wooden.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Coach John Wooden. Don't mistake activity for action. So that is something that's going in my head all the time when I see some kids work out, is because I think they're just saying they're working out. This kind of ties into like my fun versus not fun training and working out debate thing. So if you're just saying you're going to the gym to check off that box, you do the workouts at RP6 minimum effort, but you can just say you did it and then leave. Like, that's activity. That was not action. You performed an activity of working out. Action is plugging in all your weights, making sure you're going up from last week, making sure you're focusing on your form and technique on the main compound movements, you're pushing the accessories hard, you're coming 15 minutes early to warm up, stretch, get ready, you're staying 10, 15 minutes later to cool down, stretch, extra conditioning, whatever it is. And you are giving a shit about the training that you're doing that day. That is action. That is what we've talked. I've made a post about this before. We've talked about this before, of like listening to all the podcasts. Like, you can listen to all the Alex Hormozi podcasts you want. If you don't take what you're learning and do it, you're just doing activities. You're just listening to a podcast. You're just reading a book. And like, that's all you're doing. But you're telling yourself, I'm doing action. Like, you're not doing anything. Yeah. You're wasting your time with activity, and you're not turning it into something. So that was his main thing. What Dan was saying at the seminar is like, he made us do this at the seminar. It's like, main thing of this is I don't want to make it feel like you guys are just here to say you're here and feel good about it. Like, pull out your phone, text or call 3 people right now that you can sell a program to. And it was on the spot, and they had coaches walking around seeing if you were texting people. I got 2 people to come in for training that next week out of the 3.
Wow.
And I was like, shit, dude, that's action. That's taking action. That's a Jocko Willink moment of just go, like, figure it out, action over everything, and just dive off the deep end and do it. And that's something that I try to remind myself a lot of too, is just with all the podcasts we listen to and the books we read, or I read, you be reading.
But I've read 2 before. Hell
yeah. In my life, I've read 2 books. But that's the thing, is like, and we've met people like this too, where they just read all the time, but then don't do anything with it. It's like, how many self-help books do you need to start helping your life? Like, you don't need 30 self-help books. You got to figure it out at one point. And we were talking about like the mental masturbation piece of it too.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, and like, you feel good doing it, but nothing's changing. Your life is the exact same, but you just in your mind are tricking yourself, being like, I'm doing something to help push the needle forward, where in reality, you aren't pushing the needle anywhere. You're keeping it exactly the same spot, but you feel better about where you are at. That's my quote. Don't mistake activity for action. Whatever it is that you want to do, go do it. Learn along the way, but make sure you apply what you learn.
Yeah, I love that quote so much, and I've heard that before. I didn't know that it was from what you said, John Wooden.
It was John Wooden, but his thing is Dan's was a little different, and I liked his. But John Wooden's was don't mistake activity for achievement. Same thing.
Yeah.
And it says emphasize that busyness does not automatically equate to progress or success.
Yeah, well, that's what I look at with, like I was saying, how just relating that back to myself. And, obviously you've done a lot of this as well. Right now, like I said, a couple weeks ago, I had 3 people fly in from out of state to work with me. So that was an extra 15 hours a week of training that I, on top of the social media and the podcast and the YouTube and my current clients. And then just my current clients in general. And then having the club meet tomorrow, where I have like 20 clients competing at. It's like I'm the busiest I've ever been. And I'm still carving out time in my day, even to the point where I'm telling clients I'm not taking anyone before 2 p.m.
Open at 2, closed at 3. Jack Javelin LLC. Oh, look at that. That's a slogan, right?
that rhymes.
You will, but I'm not a rapper.
But, I'm at the field 2 to 8 pretty much every day. Mm-hmm. And then, Fridays, if people need come a little earlier, I'll take them a little earlier. And then Saturdays, I'm there pretty much all day. And then, I have a couple clients on Zoom that I do during, earlier hours that I can't really take them in the evening. And so, I still carved out the time to continue to do the podcast. I still carved out the time to post on social media. I still carve out the time to send emails out. I still carve out the time to film 500 videos for my programs. That's where the activity and action comes into place, because if I was to just say, oh, I'm just going to, maintain what I got and just show up to my lessons and then that's it, that's awesome. And that's doing a great job of, doing the day-to-day stuff, right? That's the bare minimum. I have a client on my schedule. That's what I'm going to do. But me looking at, all right, I don't start till 2 p.m. If I wake up at 6 and I get to the gym by 7, I can record for 2 hours. I'll get home at 9. I'll have from like 9 to 1:30 to be able to work on doing the voiceovers and uploading them onto YouTube, and then going from YouTube to putting them into the app and carving out the time to be like, all right, well, with the Fast Twitch program, what do I want to do? I want to get rid of that. I want to change this. I want to add in hurdle hops. I want to add in sprints. Okay, those are like 15 videos there that I don't have recorded yet. I got to go record those. Do the same thing the next day, where then you record, you edit, you voice over, whatever. Then you go and you work your 6 hours in the evening, or your 8 hours on a Saturday or whatever. And so that's where you always got to carve out the time to do what you need to do to push the needle forward. Because if all I did was show up to the lessons and just do the lessons, then I would never grow what I'm trying to do. And so making that, all right, if I got 6 hours of work, then I'm doing 6 hours of, focused work. That's, doing, moving forward other parts of
the stuff you're not getting paid for.
Yeah, the stuff I'm not getting paid for. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I think people don't understand or realize. Like, there's a lot of stuff coaches do that you aren't getting paid to do. Mm-hmm. Like honestly, for me, like the stuff that I've learned, like cost me a lot of money. Like the seminars or books or like the online courses that you can take. You're spending money to obtain knowledge, and you could be losing money doing all the planning stuff as well, because those 6 hours you're recording or filming or planning, you could be taking sessions and doing one-on-ones at that time as well. That's where you're making money, but that's not what's going to be helpful in the long term, or like the longevity piece of it.
And right now too, what I'm looking at is, all right, I'm a lot slower in the winter time as well, right? I don't do lessons over the winter, but what do I do in the winter? I have a lot of people run my programs. So I want to have a better product for the winter time, but in order to have a better product in the winter time, I have to do it now.
Yeah.
And So yeah, though, love that quote. That's awesome. I mean, I think that there's far too many people, even in the extra, not even just in the business and coaching side, but I would say the other side of coaching, not just the business side of coaching, but the implementation side of coaching, where there's a lot of people that read those books like Super Strength or Super Training,
Super Strength, baby.
Super Training, right?
Super Training, yeah.
So you got those.
Verkhoshansky.
You got
I
the
don't think
books
anyone's
like
ever
that.
actually read it cover to cover. Zach said he's had, but that book's freaking hard to read cover to cover.
The TISM.
It's literally it is the TISM. I mean, Super Training is an encyclopedia of plyometrics. It's very boring, but
Yeah. So anyway, there's people that read that stuff, but then what do they actually go do with it, right? If you're going to read that and then you're going to train your 8-year-olds and then you're just pissed off about training your 8-year-olds all the time, then all right, cool. You're never going to be able to implement that stuff with
congrats.
them. Yeah, nice.
You know all this stuff and you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
That's literally what I felt like a lot, like in the past couple of years of just knowing so much stuff, like the Cal Dietz stuff, the triphasic stuff. Like that's great to know, but can I use it? And a lot of the times you can't. You're met with a lot of restrictions, whether it's the weight room. I'm grateful at the grind. There's no really weight room restrictions, but timing restrictions, the age of the kids that are coming in. But if you're working at like a high school weight room, and I was saying, like I've talked about this before, when I worked at my old high school, there's 6 power racks. One of them's broken. There's 30 kids. 4 of the barbells are bent and they're all rusted up. And 3 of the benches don't have wheels on them or incline up and down. And there's no bands or med balls. So you're 2 dumbbell racks and 4 usable bars and 2 usable trap bars. So knowing all the Cal Dietz triphasic stuff is great. But when the ceiling's 6 feet high, you can't jump or do anything. So like, what do I do?
Dude, so what you got to do is you got to start a podcast. You got to go to 1,000 monthly listeners. Okay. Get those 1,000 monthly listeners to share the episode. From there, you get sponsored by a Lego. And then from there,
take a Lego and fund the whole revamp of the weight room.
Yeah. And then you raise the ceiling, you knock the wall down.
And then you could do all the triphasic stuff you want.
Yeah, dude, it's just simple. It's easy. I don't know why you didn't think of that earlier.
Oh my God, yeah. With the 8 weeks I had with them, I don't know why I didn't think to just figure that out in that 8 weeks.
But my quote, Alex Hormozi.
Hell yeah, baby. Shout out Mosey. We will meet him one day.
Not if you stop talking. Not if you keep talking like a fanboy.
Dude, you mention him every episode.
Yeah, but I just like his stuff. I'm not like, oh my God, Alex, come hang out with us.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I've never said that.
Not on video. Not on video.
Anyway, what was the quote? He's got so many good ones. I just forgot.
Oh, then I look fanboy.
No, I'm just kidding. But the one I heard recently from him was,
once you say it, I'm sure I'll know it.
He said, apply what is useful. All right, it's basically this. So he said it's basically like apply what is useful, right? And then basically the concept is absorb what is useful and discard what is useless, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that is really important for, whether you're listening to any type of advice really, or self-help, or trying to grow your coaching business, or trying to coach kids or whatever. I think you see this in javelin a lot, where one person might be saying, throw it higher, but for someone that's already throwing too high, throwing higher is not the fix.
It's going to start going backwards.
Yeah. So then it's like, all right, well, with that instance, if I'm making a post about throw it higher and that doesn't apply to you, then disregard it. But then if you're somebody that's throwing piss missiles like 6 feet off the ground and they're just sticking in the ground like, 1 inch off the ground and they're not getting any lift on them, then that's something that you need to apply. And so I love that because there's a lot of nuance and stuff. And like, even with us talking about the nutrition thing, half of the nutrition stuff, obviously I think everything we said was useful, but if you're in the boat of cutting, then what we were talking about in terms of bulking is not going to apply to you. Mm-hmm. And if you're in the boat of bulking and what did I just say? Whatever. Opposite. Switch it around.
Y'all know what
you know what I'm saying.
You know what's funny about this quote is that I originally heard it from Austin Jochum.
Really?
Yeah, I heard him say this exact thing when he was talking about how he did essentially what I did was buy a bunch of different programs and run them for a
Joel
couple of
Seedman.
weeks. He bought Joel Seedman's program. You know you've heard him talk about this before. And he thought it was stupid. Obviously, it's Joel
I thought it was
Seedman.
stupid?
No,
Oh, he
Austin thought it was stupid. I was like, obviously, but there might be something useful in there. So that's where like I heard it, and I relate it to just training philosophies and programming. Like you go to a conference where all these coaches, like a Coach 'em Up conference, you go and see all these coaches talk, and what they're saying, it could be useful to somebody, but if they're talking about collegiate strength and conditioning and you're working with high school, middle school athletes, it can't apply. Like it's not really going to apply to me. So I can't take that. But if someone's talking about that, I'll use it and it'll work. It'll help. So it's not trying to you don't want to learn something new and then scrap everything you already learned and just to go all in on this one thing. Like stay your ground, know what you learned, and be open to new ideas, but don't think you have to completely reinvent your training. Like that was like a big thing with me of like when I was learning all these different things of like a triphasic or Mike Boyle or Eric Cressy or conjugate west side, like trying to blend them all in together. Just take some of the stuff that works and then scrap everything else that you don't think fits.
Yeah. And I think that that's where people need to also, I think coaches need to also not get butthurt when another coach posts something that they might not like. You know, for example, if I was to post about how I conceptualize the left arm with the block, and then another coach is like, doesn't have that philosophy and how they teach, then it's like, all right, don't worry about it. But that's how I teach my kids. So just move on, keep scrolling, you know, or whatever. Like, don't attend the camp. Like, I have other coaches that are attending the camp to learn from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you don't agree, you don't have to agree.
Yeah. And
There's
so
plenty of different ways to do it.
And also, too, that I think it goes back to the idea of what gets you to, you know, 60 meters isn't what's going to get you to 70 meters. So if you're at 40 meters, don't ask a 70 meter thrower what they're doing right now. Ask a 70 meter thrower what he did when he was at 50, right? Because then it's a little bit more similar to where you're at. So what, you know, when you're looking at a 70 meter thrower's training and you're throwing 40, then a lot of that stuff that person's doing might not be applicable to you yet. So you need to kind of learn to navigate how to apply what's useful to you and how to disregard what's not useful to you. And I think that's like a skill that I've really gotten good at is with listening to Alex's stuff in terms of the business side of things. He posts a lot of really, really in-depth business content. 2 years ago, when I had 7,000 followers on Instagram and no podcast, no website, no YouTube, I had 5 clients.
Didn't even know what a landing page was.
Didn't know what a landing page was. You know, it was like, all right, so none of that stuff applies to me yet because he's talking to business owners that are at $100 million a year or whatever.
I'm at $100 a month.
So then when I look at like his book, $100 million offers, for me, it was just, how do I make something really good that people just don't want to say no to this? And that's what I did. And that's going back to now me re-recording the videos for the 3rd summer in a row is because, yeah, my program's $150, but now that I'm doing a lot better, I'm still taking the time to go back and revise and edit and improve the product because I feel like deep down, even if a lot of people don't notice it, the ones that care will notice it and they will realize like when they went from having a PDF 3 years ago, or I guess 2 years ago, but 2023 or 2024, you bought a PDF and then 6 months ago, you might have bought something on the app with low quality videos. And then now you're buying something from me on the app and you see, all right, it's in an app. It's all laid out. I could track my reps and sets in here. It has a whole free course section, which is a ton of valuable information. And then you have the high definition videos that are all perfectly cropped to fit the screen of the app. And then you have the voiceover of me explaining it. And then if you don't have your volume on, I have the captions for you. And it's one of those things where that's what I needed to apply because it's just me, right? I don't have any employees or anything. So a lot of that stuff that I hear that Alex talks about doesn't apply to a one person solopreneur or whatever they want to call it. But it applies to me in terms of just make the best damn product that you could possibly make no matter what. And so that's what, out of all the stuff that I've listened to, like that's like the one thing that I've pulled from and just going all in on that. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
That was a long one.
So she said.